Barely. Thanks to Kalia Copper. Team USA women's basketball wins the gold medal. 8 straight gold medals for the women. 61 straight wins in Olympic competition. That is pretty impressive. It's pretty impressive for them to be able to do that and sustain that and make it so that a close game is, the indictment. The fact that they played a close game. Um, but at the same time, it did put into focus the Caitlin Clark conversation around the squad again, and something that I'm curious about. Because when you look at this team, did they need Caitlin Clark to win the gold? Obviously not. They won the gold. Didn't need her. Didn't need her to win the gold. That's a fact. Could they have used her? Would she have made them better? I think so. I mean, when you look at the roster construction, they got nothing from the backcourt that was starting at the beginning of Chelsea Gray and Diana Taurasi. No offensive production whatsoever. There was clearly a glaring hole at point guard on this team. We've seen what Clark is able to do as a playmaker distributing the ball. I think the offense would have been humming. It would have been humming more. And you can't really make the argument that the players I just referenced deserve to be there over Clark purely on basketball, forgetting marketing. Shout out to Copper for the save and Jackie Young as well. They deserve their flowers. They deserve their flowers because with Young getting moved into the starting lineup and what Copper did in the gold medal game, that went a long way for Team USA. But a lot of this puts into emphasis something I don't quite understand, which is this hesitancy to acknowledge that Caitlin Clark is already an elite basketball player. Like, what is missing? Everyone's always pushing back. Like, this is not a popularity contest. This is about winning the gold. And yeah, they won the gold. Is that proof that some of these players are better than Clark? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. And, I mean, here's the thing. Removing any fandom or any of that nonsense out of it. Just looking at the cold, hard production. And again, not popular. I'm not talking about ratings. I'm not talking about attendance. I'm not talking about none of that. None of that. Just look at basketball ability and reality. Caitlin Clark is currently tied for second in MVP odds according to FanDuel. Tied for second. Meaning, according to the current odds, A'ja Wilson's going to win it. Shouts to A'ja also. She had the great quote about Kalia Copper. According to the odds, there is only one player more likely to win MVP, most valuable player in the WNBA than Clark. Caitlin Clark has generated more points than any player in the WNBA, whether that's the points that she scores or the points that are scored off of her assists. Caitlin Clark is currently pacing to break the all-time assist record for a single season. I would be shocked at this point if she doesn't. If she doesn't have more assists in a single season than any WNBA player, not any rookie, than any WNBA player ever has before. Caitlin Clark is top 25 in the WNBA in points, rebounds, assists, blocks, and steals. Caitlin Clark's team is now in the playoff position, that is, despite the fact that they had the number one pick in the draft. And then there's just your eyes. Like Sue Bird said, the eye test. Forgetting the stats that I just referenced, we saw her in the All-Star game, diming everybody up. That would have been the same in the Olympics. You cannot tell me with a straight face she wouldn't have pushed the pace. She wouldn't have gotten Breanna Stewart and A'ja Wilson and Collier, who's good at running the floor, easy looks. You cannot tell me that. I'm sorry. And that there wouldn't have been highlights galore as a result. I will not accept that as an art. Like, we can judge with our eyes. Because here's the thing. Giving Caitlin Clark the proper respect and the proper praise and credit is not the same as diminishing anyone else. I just told you, Jackie Young is one of the best all-around players in the league, if not the most complete player in the league at the guard spots and swing spots, at least. Kalia Copper is a spark plug wing scorer, you know, kind of player with a clutch mentality, former WNBA Finals MVP. I want to give them their flowers. They deserve their flowers. The U.S. are gold medalists because, in large part, of their effort. You know, aside from Stewart and Wilson, who carried the team for a big stretch. And I'm not rooting against the United States. Gold medal, good. Gold medal, good. At the same time, by pointing out how good Clark is, I'm not disrespecting anybody else. Chelsea Gray was injured for a long time. Maybe she's not all the way back, but you can't tell me she's better than Caitlin Clark. I'm sorry. You can't tell me Diana Taurasi now is better than Caitlin Clark. I'm sorry. Even Kelsey Plum, who played well in the gold medal game, I don't think she's better. I think Caitlin Clark's the best guard in the world. I was wondering why Sabrina Ionescu wasn't in there, because when it came to the players at Cheryl Reeves' disposal, I thought she was the best lead guard. But I think Clark's absence actually emphasized the holes at guard in the roster. Now, the 2028 team is going to be stacked with Clark and Beckers and Juju probably, and Reese, obviously, and maybe Agumbawale, who's another player who gets mentioned as a snub. And, Clark, and I think people try to sound smart by saying, oh, Agumbawale was the bigger snub. Agumbawale, I would have her on the team too. As Clark said, she may be the best one-on-one scorer in the league. She's not the best point guard in the league that Caitlin Clark is. And that I think is what this team was missing. Now, they didn't need her. It's not like that sign said. You cannot make the argument that they needed Clark to win gold because they won gold without Clark. But I just don't understand this pushback, this need to push back. Like, we got to wait. When is it okay? What does Caitlin Clark have to do? What else does she still have to prove to be acknowledged as an elite player in the WNBA, in women's basketball, period? Not a merchandise mover, not a ticket seller, not a ratings grabber, a player, a basketball player. What else she got to do? What else she got to do? So congratulations to the U.S. women's national team winning gold yet again. I don't care that, you could say that's what they should do. It's still an impressive accomplishment. They haven't lost a game in the Olympics since 1992. That is a long time. That is a long time. They should wear the gold medals proudly. And the women who I singled out, who I would have removed from the roster in favor of Clark, that doesn't mean they didn't have great careers either. No one's dissing their careers. But I'm talking right now, you can't tell me Caitlin Clark's not one of the 12 best basketball players in the world. Now, does it matter that she wasn't on this Olympics team? It's over with now. But it does matter for the discourse going forward, because there's been an overcorrection here. I know Caitlin Clark got a bunch of hype. That doesn't mean we have to wait to proclaim what is plain to see.